Hello, my name is Aiden Webb, and today I'm going to be presenting Aquaculturing the American Eel. Species Introduction. The scientific name for the American eel is Anguilla rostrata. American eels are the only freshwater eel found in North America, and they are catadromous, which means they spend most of their life in freshwater and then migrate to the sea to spawn. They can grow up to 4 feet long and weigh up to 9 pounds. They have a highly varied carnivorous diet consisting mainly of fish, and they are found along the Atlantic coast from Venezuela to Greenland. Comparable Species Part 1. Anguilla japonica, or the Japanese eel, is cultured in Asia, and the production in Asia does not meet the demand in Japan alone, and Japan has an annual demand of 130,000 tons. Baby eels, also called glass eels or elvers, are captured in the wild and then raised in indoor tanks with a low stocking density. Grow-out tanks or ponds is when the eels reach about 5 grams, and then finally the eels are sold when they reach 150 grams to up to several kilograms depending on the intended purpose. Comparable Species Part 2. Anguilla anguilla, or the European eel, has a very similar culturing practice to the Japanese eel, with a slightly higher stocking density. The smaller eels are fed a moist paste, and the larger eels are fed pellets. European eels do have a slightly greater risk of disease compared to the Japanese eel. Comparable Species Part 3. Anguilla australis, or the Australian eel, is cultured in Australia and is sourced from the wild just like the Japanese and European eel. There is an overall low impact on the environment, but it's not as successful aquaculture as the Japanese or European eel because the amount of wild-caught fish used in their feed currently outweighs the eels that are actually produced. Why culture American eels? The global eel industry is worth over $1 billion, and the demand for eels is not met, which means that the industry can become worth even more if the source is there. They have a high tolerance to adverse conditions, including low oxygen and high stocking density, and this would decrease wild capture. Proposed System Part 1. For the system I would like to set up, I would mimic the system used for European and Japanese eels, which is an intensive system using wild-caught elvers, set up in a long tank with some water flow and a low stocking density. A low stocking density is useful because the eels that are just caught have a high susceptibility to diseases. Once the eels reach about 5 grams, they would be transferred to a recirculating system at a higher stocking density. And there will also be other tanks ready for eels because the eels have to be graded by size. This is because American eels are cannibals and larger eels will eat smaller eels. The eels would then be sold when they reach about 150 grams, and all tanks would have secure lids or coverings because eels are known to escape tanks. Proposed System Part 2. I would also like to set up a large recirculating tank with broodstock. Although little is known about how American eels breed, we do know that they spawn in the Sargasso Sea, and I would like to mimic the conditions of the Sargasso Sea and provide a specialized diet. This does have a high potential for success because one female can produce up to 20 million eggs in a spawning season, and it would also decrease pressure on wild populations. Health benefits. Eels are a good source of protein and omega-3. There's 838 milligrams of omega-3 in a 100-gram serving. They're an excellent source of vitamin A, D, and B12, which are key for eye health, energy production, and optimal immune function. And eels also have a much lower mercury content when compared to other fish, such as cod and tuna. To conclude, similar species can be used as a model for American eels. We know that there will be a market, and there is a very high potential for high yield if breeding ends up being successful, and this would reduce pressure on wild populations. Here are my works cited. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, feel free to email me.